and in today's video I'm going to be reviewing the Galaxy S6 Edge. Compared to the previous model, the S5, there has been many drastic changes, especially with the design. They've gone for more of like the premium finish. So, even the aluminium around the actual phone is aircraft grade. So it should never bend, and it's, quite resistant to drops, or shall I say more resistant. The the back and also the front is Gorilla Glass 4, which is the latest generation. So, it's more scratch resistant. And, if you do drop your phone, the glass is toughened, which is quite good to know. And I think the design is really, really nice on this. It's, quite brilliant. I think it's almost as good as the latest iPhone 6 in my opinion. So I think the design has been very good, but it does come with its setbacks as well. Because of this great design, they had to make, compromises. There's no micro SD card slot anymore. You don't have a removable battery anymore, which for some power users is an issue in itself. So, in some ways it's improved and it's gone worse, shall I say. But overall, I think that this change has massively helped the S6 sales, because a lot of consumers do go for the look of their actual phone, and to have a more premium looking device has definitely helped, the sales increase much more in my opinion, even though I prefer functionality over looks. Another thing that's been improved from last year is the fingerprint scanner. On the previous generation, the S5, the fingerprint scanner was not always accurate and wasn't instantaneous. You had to kind of swipe your finger down. But now it's more or less instant when you want to unlock your phone. So I've put the lock screen on for the fingerprint. See how quick that is. Compared to the S5, there's no stuttering, there's no slowdowns, and it's much more accurate in terms of recognizing your fingerprint, which is quite good to see. In terms of specs, it's got a 16 megapixel camera, which has got a f1.9 aperture lens. And what this is good for, it lets 60% more light into the actual phone, so your pictures will be better in low light conditions. And overall, I would say, it's got one of the best cameras of any Android smartphone. Quite good to see. It's also now got a Pro mode that allows you to adjust, many things like, the white balance, the exposure, pretty much everything, so you can get the effect you like. So, the camera's definitely an improvement over last year's S5. So they've made the lens much better. And because it's an f1.9 lens, in low light conditions, it'll be great, like parties and whatnot. So, that's quite good to see. It's got an octa-core processor. They've used, Samsung have made their own Exynos chip, instead of opting for the Snapdragon 810 and 808 processors other manufacturers have made. I think the reason behind this is because the 810, or the Snapdragon 810, had a lot of throttling issues. So the phone would heat up a lot and it would affect performance in gaming and general usage of the phone. So I think it's quite a smart decision for Samsung to make their own Exynos processor. In terms of benchmarks, the Exynos processor sits right on top. So it's a very good processor to use for gaming and everything. It's been very pleasant. And as you can see, they've, fixed up, I would say, TouchWiz. Not a lot of bloatware. It's more of the clean look now. So I think that's a very good thing they've done over here. Even though it does look similar to previous versions of TouchWiz, as you can see, it's been cleaned up a lot. Even the settings, I feel, has been more organized. If I look, it's sectioned out now. So you've got connections, device, personal, and system. And it's quite easy to navigate in between the phone, which I find is much better. Previous versions of TouchWiz, you would have like little sections, like 4 or 5 different sections going horizontally, and it looked very cluttered and I think it looks much more cleaner, much more nice. So it's, well done to Samsung there. And a lot of the bloatware has been removed as well, which is quite good to see. Another thing I forgot to mention, in terms of the display, it's got a Quad HD display. So a lot of people, think a Quad HD display means 4K resolution, but it's actually a 2K screen. So I think the reason why they use the term Quad HD, so it's like 720p times 4 basically, which is why they use, Quad HD. Well, the term Quad HD. It's a bit of a marketing trick, but even so, it's got very, very good display. The colors are very, very nice. I know it's hard to see on here, but very rich. In terms of color reproduction, I would say Samsung's got the most vibrant colors, although some argue that it's a bit unnatural. And I think it's because it uses an LED screen compared to a normal LCD panel, it's actually more power efficient as well. So for dark lighting conditions, for example, when you're watching a movie and there's a dark scene, it can actually switch off individual pixels. So say like you're watching a film and it's in a dark scene, as I mentioned before, it would switch off the black pixels, so it would emit no light from the screen. There's no need to emit light when, the background's black anyway. It wastes power and it's unnatural. I don't know why displays do that, so, I would say it's quite good in terms of display. I would say it's one of the best displays out there. Also, in terms of the edge screen features, I could show you what it does. It's a bit hard to navigate when I'm, recording at the same time. As you can see, you've got like a toggle here. You could set it to any side of the screen, which is really, really good. So when you swipe that toggle, you got your 5 favorite contacts, your 5 favorite apps. You can download missed calls, weather updates. See how these are color coded here? For example, my home number is color coded blue. So when I put the device face down and that person rings, the sides will light up blue, so I know who it is. And to reject the call, you put your finger on the heart rate monitor, which is really, really good. It's also got like a clock. Show you that. Yep, here's the clock. It's quite nice because say like put it on the table next to you when you're sleeping. You never have to look over your screen because the times is quite convenient. I quite like it. You can also access your messages, and the benefit to accessing your messages from here is you could just slightly take out the phone out of your pocket and check it from the side, and this avoids you fully taking it out, which avoids drops and things like that. So you don't have to take your phone out of your pocket. You could kind of just check it from the side, slip it out of your pocket a little bit. So it's quite good. I quite like those features. Whether you use it or not is up to you, but for some people it's quite beneficial. Also, another thing I like about the phone is that the navigation keys are actually built in around the frame around the phone. Because with other manufacturers such as Sony, HTC, LG, the navigation button's actually built into the screen, and that does tend to waste some of the screen estate of the phone. Even though some apps you can change to immersive mode, which gets rid of the navigation buttons, and when you swipe up it comes back up. I find that it can be a bit, awkward sometimes. So like I'm typing in a message and my finger accidentally slips to the navigation buttons, it will go back. I quite like how it's actually built in around the frame of the device, which is very, very useful. Also, as I was mentioning earlier, the camera as well, the different modes. So if we go into mode, you've got your auto mode, which is what most people will use. Pro mode, which I could show you. It allows you to change the ISO, the white balance, the different modes, and you can have like different effects as well, which is quite nice to see. Very good. Then you've got your other modes, selective focus. That's useful for say like you're at a football match and you want to take a picture of a moving player, it focuses on that particular player and it avoids like motion blur from the picture, which is quite nice. Got panorama mode, which gives you, a wide angle picture, which is really nice. You've got live broadcast. So say like you're at an event or a concert and you want to share it live to your friends or family. Once you record it, it sends a link to that person, and at the same time as when you're like, recording, it kind of like broadcasts it as like a live channel, which is really good. So while you're using the camera, they could see the action. So it's really, really good if you want to show your, friends, what the concert's like and things like that. You've also got slow motion mode, which is quite nice to muck around with. I really like using this mode. You could change the rate at how slow it is, how quick it is, which is a nice mode. You've also got like a fast motion mode, which is quite good. Virtual shot, which gives you like a 360 degree, picture of what's around you. There's quite a lot of good, features on it. You could also like, download different things for the camera. So you've got sports shot, beauty face, surround shot, animated GIF, dual camera, rear cam selfie. You could download some features, which is quite good. So I'd briefly go over the camera. In terms of camera, it's probably one of the best cameras I've used on an Android phone. I mean, it's quite hard to say what is the best Android phone camera because it's quite debatable, because some cameras are better for color, some cameras are better for sharpness, so it's really, really debatable, I would say. So it just depends on your personal preference. But overall, I think it's a really nice phone. Very nicely designed. The specs are top of the range. It's a very good phone. Also, there's a few other things I forgot to mention. It's also more customizable now. For example, you can have themes now, and you could change the screen grid. So depending on how you want it, you could change how many icons you want on the home screen, and then you could, apply it. Then you've got your themes, which will take you to a theme store. You can download different themes in case you get bored of the way your phone looks. I mean, I haven't got any downloaded. Actually, yeah, I do. I'll just apply this just to show you guys what it looks like. This theme to me looks a bit like the LG G4's theme. So it's quite nice to know that you can customize it, because it does get boring having the same kind of interface all the time. Yeah, so this is what it looks like once the theme's applied. You still got some of the other features you did before as well, like multitasking, multi-window, which a lot of people used. Yeah, with multi-window, you can have two windows open at the same time. So for example, say like you go on the recent apps, if it's got these two kind of rectangles above each other, that means you can multitask with it. It doesn't work with all apps, but you could see some of the selected ones. For example, let's go into Play Store. So you could do it at the same time, go on games, send a message. It's quite nice, to be honest. I quite like it. You could swap it around. You could enlarge it. You can have like a little icon here as well. To say like you want to go back onto it, you can use that too. And it opens it up in a little window. It's quite nice to see. It's very, practical. I mean, I use it a lot. For example, say like my friend sends me a message and I'm watching a YouTube video, I use it for things like that. One last thing, in terms of like the software it runs, it still runs on Lollipop. So version 5.1.1, even though Android M is out, because each manufacturer takes time to skin it and add different features on the phone, it does take a lot longer to release some of the updates. But this device will definitely get Android M and should get, the latest updates for minimum of 2 years after the release. That's about it, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you got any questions about the device or want me to make any other videos, please do comment on the section below. Thanks for watching, guys.